Good morning. I'm going to do some update videos today, and the first of the videos will be the tomatoes. This is the Stupice tomatoes sitting right beside the entryway door, and we've had some hot weather lately, and to the point that tomato plants started to droop. Yesterday, this one, you'd swear there wasn't a speck of moisture in the bucket. It was so drooped down. It's not quite recovered either. But I come out and that was so drooped it scared me. This one wasn't as bad. Here's the tomatoes growing. We have one getting ripe down right there. Silver fir tree in the bucket. Bringing on nice tomatoes. He drooped, but he kind of fared the best, it seemed, through the heat, with respect to the ones that are in buckets I'm talking about. Most of the flower bunches, you can't see it yet, but they've been pollinated and they're growing tomatoes now. Beaver Lodge slicer, we had some wind one day and tipped this bucket over. That's why I put this over against it so it won't tip over again. The tomatoes on this has a ways to grow yet, but I do have quite a few tomatoes. Growing on this plant. And this is the Lata tomato growing in a bucket. It has quite a few fruit on it now. I have not gotten a ripe one off of this one yet, and you'll see why I said that a little later. It did, though, fare up well to the heat. It didn't really droop that much. And here's furthest north with respect to putting out blossoms. This still is the one that puts out the most blossoms of all the varieties. We are getting them pollinated now, and there's tomatoes growing. A little late, but they're there, and we'll see what becomes of them in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Centennial Rocket, this is the one that showed growth of a tomato, the very first. So my first growing tomato was on this Centennial Rocket. I already harvested one tomato off of here, and now we've got another one that's getting ripe. It didn't grow all that well. It seems like something is restricting its growth, and I don't know what. That's in the bucket sitting beside the small shed. Now, as far as in the ground, these are the plants on the south side of the house. We have 42 days here. That's got quite a few tomatoes growing on it now. For the size of plant, that is. This is Lata, and I have a ripe tomato. It is about the size of what the tomatoes grow with Lata. silver fir tree. I think this tomato here now has gotten to its full size. I think that's about as big as it's going to grow. I'm happy with that. But we shall see. It's not starting to ripen yet, so. And that is quite a bunch. In that bunch there's 5 more tomatoes, 6 more tomatoes. Then we have these tomatoes down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tomatoes there. 11, 12, 13. So we've got like 20 tomatoes on that plant. Coming down to the east side of the bay window, we have, who is he? Centennial Rocket. And as you can see, this is an awful bunch of tomatoes. Let's see what's in this bunch. We've got right there together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 tomatoes right there all together. And 2 of them are getting ripe now. Out here we have another bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think there's 12 in that bunch. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 together there. So Centennial Rocket is doing beautifully. Can you guess what one this one is? Look at the number of flowers that's on it. Furthest north. There's my tag in there. Faring better in the ground. And on this one there's a, you see there's one clutch here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 in that clutch. 3 in that clutch so far. There's 3 in that one, but a lot of these might grow into and we have this clutch down here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have tomatoes there, tomatoes over here. Now I think this is Beaver Lodge Slicer. Let's see, yes, it is. It's a stocky, nice plant. We've got tomatoes growing. It's healthy. This is the biggest one I have yet, but I don't have any Beaver Lodge Slicer tomatoes fully grown. But look at the number of tomatoes. That clutch in there, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 slicing tomatoes growing right together right there. And this stalk over, this stalk here is from the Beaver Lodge Slicer as well. Some tomatoes plants, and most of the people who's really into growing tomatoes that I've seen, they're growing their tomatoes as a vine up a single trellis, and a lot of people, they don't let, let's say, suckers like this grow. But Stupice looks like, I think it's better to let it grow out as a bush. Now you can put several pegs around to hold them up off the ground, but let it grow as a multi-harmed plant is my opinion on that one. I don't know this one yet. You could do furthest north as a vine, and that might help it get better tomatoes. And 42 days, you've seen the inside one in my last tomato update video. That could be growing as a vine as well. Now, with respect to what this is producing, I don't have a lot of tomatoes on here yet, but I have 2 down here getting ripe. So that's the size of them. And that's actually quite a bunch of tomatoes right there. And then there's another clutch growing down underneath there. Well, there's quite a few tomatoes on this plant. Let me get the camera around. Down here. You see, if I add something that I could tie the arm up, then maybe that would be nice. And then there's Tiny Tim being overtaken by volunteer turnip. Turnip wasn't this big last time you seen it, but it's loaded in tomatoes now. Still not a very big plant though, eh? But nice, I like it. Of all the tomato plants that I have planted out, this is the biggest surprise of all. It's not growing very big, but you wouldn't expect it to with all of these. And of course, now they got seed heads on them, but they were out in flower, and the leaves were bigger, etc. It was pretty much in shade. But yet, this is a Lata tomato. I have 2 more ripe tomatoes here, sitting on the north end of a bed with plants that's much taller than it. There's 2 more tomatoes growing there. There's 4 more down there, 2 out there. You can see 1 here, 1 there, another one. It's going to put out a lot of tomatoes. Now, Lata is the first ripe tomato I got, and it was off of this plant. This is on the south end of a bed, so it got plenty of sun. Let's see how many tomatoes it has. There's 3, 4, 5 out there. 1, 2 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over there. 6, 7 over there. It's not growing as much, but this is where I got my first ripe tomato off of Lata. And okay, they're not quite ripe yet. I could pick this one, but I'm going to let them go and let this green go. Maybe tomorrow I'll pick that one. They do though. See, this is the one I picked off the other plant just now. You see, they leave some spots like this, so you don't go uniform red. And then of course you get things like this. So yeah, they're not a perfect red color, but they are so tasty. Tiny Tim. It took its time, but it did produce. Look at the bunch of tomatoes that's on this plant. Golly. And over on this one, I have my first garden ripened Tiny Tim tomato. This one don't have as many tomatoes, but it's performing respectably. Once again, we have furthest north. You can see here we've got a couple of tomatoes coming on here. Yeah, I knew there was clutches of tomatoes there somewhere. Down right there. So, over on that side, I'll go around. Let's get the camera down here. Lift up this arm. And you can see a whole bunch of tomatoes right there. Don't know if it's a position or what, but the flowers that were down underneath seem to get pollinated better. I'll go over to the other plant, and a whole bunch of these flowers have been pollinated and are growing tomatoes now. Where did I see the full-size tomatoes? So, they're just coming, and you see, now we've got up until the 1st of October before frost, so. Of them all, furthest north is the one I'm thinking that performed least well. But this is only August the 13th, I think it is. And they have lots of time yet to put out and ripen an awful lot of tomatoes if they really do put on a flush now. This is the last of the Tiny Tims. He's in with the herbs. See, there's the lavender right there and the sage. And true to form, he's putting on a really good bunch of tomatoes right there. There's going to be another good bunch coming there. There's some flowers coming out there. Yeah, that's it. Just right there. This is your Lata tomato. One of the ones I just picked. The first one I picked of this, I was quite surprised. I don't remember seeing a tomato like that. But the tomatoes that I've seen before were the slicer ones. You see, that's my first cut. That's my second cut. You see how meaty that is? There's a lot less of the gel in Lata tomatoes than in the regular one. I know Tiny Tim is small, but when you cut open Tiny Tim even, you see it's only got these two little veins here, and it's pretty much half gel. of the size of the tomato. Whereas this one, you have big thick veins coming out from the center. So for making pasta sauce or tomato paste or something, this one would be better. I don't think it's supposed to be a paste tomato, so I don't have any paste tomatoes. That's something I have to look into getting in the future. But this would be an all-purpose if I was making paste pasta sauces, ketchup. I want to slice it up to put on my sandwich, whatever. So that's what happens when you do your research and select the right varieties. Now 2020 is the year of the weird, and we did have quite a bit of heat, but it is only the middle of August. So if on a normal year, maybe it would be the last of August, I would be collecting tomatoes, but that gives me a full month still to get quite a few tomatoes off these plants. So I'm happy with what I've got, and I hope it continues to be that way. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button for me if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.